was just in Virginia visiting family, and there's another Virginia connection that I have. My father worked in Virginia during the Great Depression as a member of the Civilian Conservation Corps. That was the Works Project Administration, the sort of make work project during the Great Depression, put a lot of young men to work planting trees and working in the national forests and state forests. And he was down in the southernmost part of the state. And every time we would take summer vacations, if we would drive past a stand of trees that were planted in a row, very uniformly in a row, so the CCC boys probably did that. Because that's how he was told to plant trees, was in those kind of rows. So back in Michigan growing up, we would occasionally go just around this time of year to reunions of the CCC boys. These old codgers would get together at a state park up in northern Michigan and tell stories, and they're just great to hang out with. So I wrote them a song. And I got to play it for the 75th anniversary of the Civilian Conservation Corps, which was a national gathering in Florida, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago. But there are very few of these fellas left. The Depression era was a long time ago, even though they were kids at the time. But they did some wonderful things, and a lot of the buildings that they built, campsites and so on, are still there. So this is my song for the CCC boys. Here's to the CCC, planting trees and more. Cheers to the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps. When the forests of the garden were lumbered and left to burn, farmland and stream heading for trouble as the century turned. The market crashed in 29, there was no work for many. A dust cloud settling down on this once proud land of plenty. There were hobo boys in jungles and teens out on the streets, young men on the farms, even there they couldn't make ends meet. So when FDR was elected, right away he made a plan. He said, let's put those boys to work and let's restore our land. 250,000 enrollees in just a few months' time. From 33 to 42, there was 3.5 million, all in Roosevelt's Tree Army Soil Soldiers, CCC. They restored the woods, restored their lives, that's their history. With axe and maul and mattock, they leaned into their task, built fire trails, riverbanks, campsites, all that they were asked. California to Maine, Skyline Drive to Yellowstone. They made $30 a month, and all but 5 went home. 3 billion seedlings with mattock, axe, and maul. The lesson was think ahead. What they did'll outlive us all. So here's to the CCC, planting trees and more. Cheers to the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps. And my dad was a CCC boy, as he so liked to be called. He went from home near Pittsburgh to Virginia's Front Royal, and then he got a job in Detroit. He served in World War II. This is after being in the seas, there was no work he could not do. I met more CCC boys at reunions at Higgins Lake. They slowed a step, but they're quick of mind. A firm hand to shake. To a man, they've got great stories. It's not just trees they grew themselves. They want that choice for the next generation too. With axe and maul and mattock, They leaned into their task, called it the College of Calluses. They did all they were asked. 3 billion seedlings with mattock and more. The lesson was think ahead. What they did'll outlive us all. So here's to the CCC, planting trees and more. Cheers to the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps. Yeah, that's my song for the CCC boys. You could sing it in a national park, sing it in a state forest, on a morning hike or at dark. Sing it once in gratitude for the men of my father's age. Sing it twice for the youngsters to be inspired by history's page. Here's to the CCC, planting trees and more. Cheers to the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps. Thank you. Thank you. My dad always liked that one. It's another sort of outdoorsy related song. It's called The Center of the Universe. And the center of the universe was a phrase that Thoreau, among others, used to describe a place where you would go to in nature to kind of get to know yourself, as you sort of can know yourself only in a special place to you, like a special place in nature. Of course, for Thoreau, it was Walden Pond. For me, it's the meadow in the U of M Arboretum. I love going to the meadow in the Arb. And a lot of people have different sort of center of the universe, and that's what this song is about. There's a wonderful poem by Gerard Manley Hopkins that goes well with this, also set in nature. Hopkins was a parish priest in England, way over towards Wales, about 125 or so years ago. And he was out for a walk on a fine fall day when the leaves were turning and starting to come down. And he ran into a parishioner, a young girl that he recognized, and she was sitting underneath a tree where all the leaves had been starting to fall, and she was crying. And being a good parish priest, he came up to Margaret and he tried to comfort her and make her feel a little bit better. And like a good poet, he went home and he wrote a poem about it. He said, "Margaret, are you grieving over Golden Grove unleaving? Leaves, like the things of man you with your fresh thoughts care for, can you? As the heart grows older, it will come to such thoughts colder by and by, nor mourn, nor spare a sigh, though worlds in wan wood leaf meal lie. And yet you will weep, and know why. Now no matter, child, the name sorrow's springs are the same, nor mind, nor mouth expressed what heart heard of. Ghosts guessed. It is the blight that man was born for. It is Margaret you mourn for." At the center of the universe, where I go when I hurt, and again when I feel fine, I touch base for a little time. At the center of the universe, where I go when I hurt, center of the universe, center of the universe, for eternity I rehearse, center of the universe. At the center of the universe, universe. Things get better when they can't get worse. A quiet pond, stately pine, a different sense of space and time. At the center of the universe, a meadow grand as any church. Center of the universe. Center of the universe. Senses fill and joy will burst. Center of the universe. At the center of the universe, oh, where I go when I hurt, and then again when I feel fine, I touch base for a little time. The center of the universe, nature opens up her purse. Center of the universe. Center of the universe. For eternity I rehearse. Center of the universe. It is the blight that man was born for. It is Margaret you mourn for. Thank you.
This is a more recent song. It's actually the last song that I have written, and it has a little bit of a story to it. It's interesting that, Jim shared the Center of the Universe song because, as he points out, we all have our own center of the universe that could be anywhere. Mine's very specifically in the Mount Hood Wilderness in Oregon. That's my center of the universe, and I have to go back there at least once a year. And I'm not sure why necessarily. I moved to Oregon from wherever I was living at the time in 1987, and I lived there 20 years before I came here, about 12 years ago. But that's my center of the universe. And I've spent a lot of time in that wilderness. I've hiked the mountain. I've circumnavigated the mountain. I got married at Timberline Lodge, which is on the mountain at the 6,000 foot level. And the Timberline Lodge, going back to the CCC, was a Works Progress Administration building. It's the exact same administration. Roosevelt himself came out to Timberline, Oregon to dedicate it in 1937 when it was finished. And if you've seen the movie The Shining, and if you've seen the outdoor, remember the outdoor scenes, those were all filmed at Timberline Lodge, the epic snow up to the third floor windows and so forth. The interior was filmed elsewhere. But anyway, I could go on and on about Mount Hood, but Mount Hood is my center of the universe. And through a series of recent coincidences, I've been reading books by Oregon authors. A particular novel about the Mount Hood area led me to read another novel by the same author, but set on the Oregon coast. And in that second novel, there were several William Blake quotes that several of the characters bring up as part of their experience. And I fancy myself a William Blake scholar, but that's bullshit. I'm not a scholar at all. I just happen to like Blake a lot. And I'm more of a Blake dilettante than anything. I think I know a lot about Blake until I get a hold of somebody who really does know about Blake. But this quote of Blake's, it came from his Gnostic verses, which are some of his minor works, not part of his epic romantic poetry. But the phrase is this: great things are done when men and mountains meet. This is not done by jostling in the street. And it's just a profound thought, depending upon how you want to define your mountain. And remember, this guy lived in the late 18th century in London his entire life. So it's not like he saw a lot of mountains from there. So you got to kind of work with the metaphor. But it struck me. It struck me enough to fairly quickly write a song. And that's what this is. This is called Men and Mountains. And I also tend to rush this. I'm going to try not to do that, even though I want to have a little bit of a lilt to it here. Great things are done when men and mountains meet. This is not done by jostling in the street. That's what William Blake observed as his eternal muse was served. The great things are done when men and mountains meet. There are precious few mountains you can see from London town. The Thames cuts through the center of the level ground. So what do you think he meant when he said that momentous things would come to a head, and that great things are done when men and mountains meet? Well, maybe your highest mountain is found where the ship of your ambition has again run aground, or in the gathering of the enemy army in the valley below. Your mountain could be the fear you never could face, that dread that always serves to scratch you from the race, as you feel the underutilized potential inside of you grow. Sha la 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 la, do 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 da da da. Sha la 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 la. Pull out your climbing gear and engage that daunting peak. The gauntlet's been thrown, adventure is what you seek. Your time is now, there's no need to wait. Life slips through your fingers while you hesitate. And great things are done when men and mountains meet. Great things are done when men and mountains meet. It's not the mountain ahead that wears you down. It's the grain of sand in your shoe you haul around. Thank you. I appreciate it.
This, you haven't heard this one. This is my most recent song, and it's based on a few true stories, and one of them, or two of them, might be mine. We caught the wind in our sails, took to the sea, leaving our homes for the unknown, young and dumb and free. The visions of tropical beaches danced in our brains, spurring us on through the wind and fog, cold and driving rain. Yes, there were times we barely escaped with our skin, giving Given the chance, I'd do it all over again. I'd do it all over again. Deep in the heart of a clear Caribbean night, counting the stars in that infinite sky till the morning light, combing the beaches and bars, thinking we were hot, gathering trinkets we'd lose in time, memories we'd not, gathering trinkets we'd lose in time, memories we would not. Looking back now, those days still brings a smile. I have to confess, I lost my way for a while. I lost my way. We caught the wind in our sails and took to the sea. We caught the wind in our sails and took to the sea. That's it. Sorry about the screw up there. I only know 3 songs on this in this tuning, so you're stuck with it. And this is, it's called Between the Lines. As I wandered lost and lonely into another morning rain, walking on and wanting only her gentle hand to ease the pain. Search for signs up in the sky, watching helplessly as life rolled by. Your letter said that you were fine, not a single word of what you left behind. And too much time to read between the lines. How I wish I were there. So alone I'm left to wonder, was it me that made you leave? And the spell you've left me under makes it harder to believe that we will never be together, growing old beside the sea. For us they'll never be forever, and this is how you'd have it be. All my dreams are but memories. How I wish I were there. Too much time to read between the lines. How I wish I were there. Thank you.
Okay. This song I wrote because I had kind of like a friend who kept just like going down the wrong track. So I just wrote it recently, so hopefully I can get through this. Time that you get down, I won't always be around. You have to get up back on your feet. I won't always be there. get off that crazy street. You haven't learned from your mistakes. I don't know if you have what this world takes. Every time you get off track, I won't always be there to get your back. Oh, every time I think this will end, being your friend, then I get real sad. Thinking about all the good times that we had. Oh. Every time I look at you, I think I know what I'm gonna do. Then you smile at me. No, I don't think I'm ever gonna be free. Every time you look at me, I'm not sure if I will ever see if you're ever gonna do well. Guess time will only tell. All right, thank you.